here. Welcome to this week's message for Living on Purpose. And this week's message, we're going to be focused in on trusting in God's timing and really just leaning on His will and His purpose for our lives and how faithful He is to us through the trial and the tribulation, through the moments we feel we're in the middle or in the darkness, and how He's working in those moments when we don't really see anything, and really just having that patience and who He is and His promise, His word, what He's called us to be. And if we're on that path and we're praying for His will and His purpose, really gaining that patience and learning how to be patient in God and His timing, it becomes a lot easier, and it becomes simple. It becomes simple to see that, okay, well, this isn't the step I need to take, or I need to take a step back, or I just need to trust right now and keep moving forward. Whatever it is, it's all about trusting in His timing and knowing that He is faithful. He's a good Father, and He always takes care of us, and He knows when and where and who and what time we are ready and prepared for those blessings that we are praying for, the ones that are on our heart, that we've had there just sitting, and we're just waiting for the day that they come into fruition again, as long as they're in His will or His purpose. So just a couple of scriptures I want to start off with are ones that touched my heart, that have helped me just keep my heart, my mind focused on God, and knowing that it is His timing, that all of those things will come in 10 times more powerfully. They'll be more of a blessing. I'll be way more thankful and full of gratitude for what He brought in, because His ways are higher than ours. So the first one is, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. This is just a reminder that there is a time for everything and a season for everything. And if we are going way too ahead, or if we are not ready and we're not prepared for what He has for us and for what we're praying for in His will, those things, they have to come in the right season and at the right time. You need the right people, the circumstances, the divine connections, the resources. There's a lot of different parts that go into the equation of bringing a prayer into reality and bringing that dream that's in your heart into reality. And He doesn't want to give us something that we are not ready for, and He doesn't want to give us something that is too little for the big vision that He has for our life and the big plan that He has for our life. So we just need to understand that He does it in the right season and the right time, and we just need to hold on and have patience, especially if we are praying every day for His will and His purpose. It is a lot easier to trust in His timing. But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. 2 Peter 3:8. This just reminds us that God doesn't work on our time. He doesn't work on time at all. He sees the bigger picture. He sees what's going on in our lives, in our relationships, in our circumstances, and He wants to bring it all together for our good and for His glory and for His will for our lives. So a lot of times when there's an unanswered prayer, or there's something you've been really dreaming and envisioning for your life, if it's too little or not right for what He has planned for our lives, those things won't come into reality. And most of the time, not even most of the time, every single time I've had an unanswered prayer, I've been so thankful down the road. I've learned how to be thankful now for unanswered prayers and knowing that it is His timing, His will. But back in the day, it was very difficult to do. It was very difficult to trust that He knew better, because I really had no idea. And that came with spiritual growth and creating a very intimate relationship with Him, with God, and to where He is who I lean on, to where Jesus is my number one, and that's what and who I turn to every time I feel impatient and every time I feel like things aren't really working together or nothing's happening. I turn to seek Him instead of my own will or just seeking His hands. I trust in His plan. I trust in His will for my life. The other one is he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. That's so powerful. I mean, it's so powerful to know that we only get fragments in this lifetime. We only get fragments of what he's doing in our lives. And there's a lot of things we won't even know until we get to heaven's gates, until we meet Jesus face to face. We'll realize those little unanswered prayers, or those big moments in life that things we wanted to fall through didn't fall through. Those moments where we felt like we were being gypped, or the hurt and the pain was too much to bear, and all we could do was lean on him, and then there was no answers after that. All those things come together when we meet Jesus face to face at heaven's gates. So we have to understand that God's ways are so much higher than ours, and that's my first reminder for you, is to really grasp that in your heart, is that his ways are higher than ours, that he sees all things and he knows how to bring them together for your good. The people, the divine connections, the resources you need, every part of the equation is in his hands. And if you're not ready for it, he's not going to bring it. If you are 10 steps ahead, he's not going to bring it. And we have to get aligned in his time, and knowing that he is a faithful God, that he loves us. He's our Papa, and he will bring it in its right time, and at the moment where you are going to be overwhelmed with gratitude, and where it will shine his glory. But in all actuality, it's where he will be able to bless you, and you'll be able to receive it and have the responsibility for it that he is destined for you to be and to have. And so his ways are higher than our ways. The next is he is never too early and never late. He is always right on time. So even if we feel if it's going too slow or if it's going too fast, he is working in the time that is best for us, for the benefit of our lives, for the benefit of our hearts, for our growth and where we're at, and what we can handle and what we can't handle, and what we can handle with him and what we can't handle with him. He is pulling that all together, and that's why he comes at the right time. He shows up right when you need him, or he shows up and surprises you with something because you had been praying for it, and you've waited, and you've trusted that he is faithful, and you've had faith in who he is and his word, and it tends to come at a moment just perfect, just absolutely perfect. And I've seen this happen over and over again, especially in my spiritual growth over this last year. Really just my intimate relationship with him. I see how he works every single day, and the miracles that he brings in are beyond anything we can fathom if we just trust in his timing. And again, behind the scenes, he's working everything together for our good. He's working it together not only for your benefit, but for his glory, which means he's manifesting the people, the opportunities, the situations, the resources that are needed and necessary for that dream to come into fruition, to come into reality. And it could be as small as wanting to move into a new place, or it could be as big as marriage and that business thriving, or that ministry that you want to open, or that foundation, or the lives you want to change. He will manifest those things, but he works in the background. And a lot of times when he's working in the background, we don't see anything. We really don't see what's going on, because he has to prepare those things, and he has to prepare our hearts also. And that's where we put our head in his word, and we take the time to spend with him every single day, and give him our hearts, and pray for his will and his purpose every day. Because when we do that, and we know how faithful he is, it's easy to trust in his timing. It's easy to be patient, and to know that he'll bring it right at the exact time that you are ready for it. Just knowing that when we are patient, and when we are praying for patience, and we are praying, maybe you need to pray on your unbelief. And that's something I had to do for quite a while, is that I didn't feel the level of faith in my heart that I knew I should have. I would get impatient very quickly. And so I want to encourage you to to pray on those things. Ask God to give you patience. Ask God to open your eyes to where you need to learn, where you need to grow. And a lot of times why we need to be patient in Him and His timing is because we, to be prepared for the blessing He's giving us, need to have that level of spiritual growth. We need to know truly who He is in our life and make Jesus our number one, and pray for His will every day. And when we're in that place, that's when all of these things start happening, and you'll start seeing like divine connections. You'll start seeing the relationships you've been praying for coming into your life. You'll start seeing, business opportunities, or that ministry, like just the people that are necessary, or the resources that are necessary. And I've seen this happen over and over again, especially the last couple months in my life. And I'm just blown away. I honestly don't have words for how He works, because it's so much more beautiful than I ever thought possible. Also knowing that whatever we envision, honestly, is small potatoes to what He has in store. One of my favorite Bible verses is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. This, honestly, is just, wow. It is such a clear perspective of who God is. He wants the best for us. He loves us so much that he doesn't want to give us something that we're not ready for. Great example is, when you first go to ride a bike and your father's teaching you, He's not going to teach you when you're an infant, right? He's not going to teach you when you're 3 months old how to ride a bike, because you wouldn't be ready for it. You wouldn't even be big enough to put your feet on the pedals, let alone, you're not even walking or crawling or sitting up, and He's not going to give us something that we're not prepared for, especially spiritually in our hearts and our minds. So knowing that He has these plans for us, and when we are patient and we trust in His timing, that those plans are going to prevail. And a lot of the time it comes down to us just praying for that, for praying for the patience, and wanting Him to do His work in our life, and not just wanting our fleshly desires or our thought of what our life should be, those prayers to be answered. It's all about letting go and letting God, and trusting the process, and knowing that He has a specific journey for you for a reason. And it might be to learn something, it might be to prepare, it might be to have all of what you need to make that become a reality. And when it is ready, when He is ready, it's going to happen like that. And it's such a blessing to see, but it's also a surprise, because He is a God of surprises. He loves to surprise us. And a lot of times that patience really creates such a heart full of gratitude, and you see it, and you're full of humbleness and full of humility, because it was God and it was not you, and He's the one that made it happen. So just remember, what you're envisioning is small potatoes, and honestly, if He gave it to us now, what we're desiring, and if we're not ready for it, we would waste it, we would ruin it, we would make a mess of it. I have done this a million times in my life. And I'm just so thankful that I know God has me, and He has all of what I need in store to really bring what's in my heart into my life and into my relationship. So just trust in the process, trust in who He is. Pray bold prayers. Pray, big, bold prayers. He tells us to come to His throne and pray boldly. And when we're doing that in accordance to His will and praying for His will and purpose for our lives, it really is amazing what He does. He does it in a way where, I've seen miraculous prayers, like beyond what I was praying for, things that have happened recently that I just, wow, I thank Him from the bottom of my heart, because I know it wasn't me and it was Him. Of course, He would be a terrible father, like I said earlier. He would be a terrible father if He gave you something that you are not ready for, and if He gave you something that you weren't destined to have. And a lot of times unanswered prayers are just that. You're not destined to have it. Or it's just knowing that at the end, when we're at heaven's gates and we're meeting Jesus face to face, we will know then, because we only know in fragments. We know partially here on earth, and once we come face to face, with Jesus, with God, those things will come together, and we'll realize all those unanswered prayers were for a reason. So we have to trust, we have to know He's faithful, we have to do our absolute best to know that His timing is so much better than ours, so much better than ours. And closing up here, I want just to encourage you to really just take those steps of faith. Pray upon, if you are having a hard time having patience and trusting in the Lord and knowing that He has got you, pray for it and ask God to help you with your impatience. I just want to encourage you, prayer is powerful. Prayer is powerful, and it is such a benefit in our lives to not only have that intimate relationship with God, but to trust that when we pray, He has our best interests at heart. And even with the unanswered prayers, He is going to bring everything in your life together for His good and for your good, and for the bigger picture, the will and purpose He has for your life, which is so much more than you can envision. And just trust in His timing and know that He is preparing you, that He has big plans for your life, and that the people and the circumstances, the divine connections, everything you need to really have those dreams come into fruition. He's working on them in the background. He's making it happen, but you just have to trust and have faith and know that His timing is just, it's perfect in every way. And so I pray that you humble your heart. You know that none of us are perfect, and that there will be a moment in your life that all of these things are going to rapidly happen, and you are just going to be blown away at how good God is to you and the glory He brings into your life, His grace, and really how an unanswered prayer becomes such a beautiful answered prayer in the long run. So I am so thankful for each of you. I pray blessings over your week. I pray that you find patience in your heart to trust in God's timing, to know that He is faithful, to know that He's working it all together in the background. He is fighting your battles, and He's bringing it all together for your good. Trust Him, because He's almighty and all powerful, and He is so good to us, and He just wants the best for us. So pray for His will, His purpose, and just keep taking those steps of faith. Keep taking that next step towards your dreams and goals. And if you are aligned on His path, those things will happen in time. So everybody have a beautiful day. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.